Alright, and welcome back to another video on how to secure yourself financially looking at the Morningstar Investing Classroom. So, yesterday I went through the featured content, specifically making a quick recap of staying investment in the market and the things to know, or the TLDR is that stocks has provided the highest return and the increase in the wealth. Investors must have discipline and patience. Holding on can pay off in the long run. On average, the stock performance after the end of a recession, the cumulative return for small stocks outperform those of the large stock. And the Fed tried to achieve the federal fund rate, the interest rate at which commercial banks lend fund each other, by buying and selling security in the federal open market. In each of those topics, there is a huge universe to describe, especially when you look at historical data and the reason why they come with this conclusion. Now, in the market in terms of recovery, is that after you understand what is this vulnerable fund market, and similar as the stock market, the bond market is also affected by the state of the economy. And during an economic contraction, what happened and expansions, market in terms of recovery of this bull and bear market give you a bigger picture of how the market performs, especially for investors who have a long-term horizon or they want to invest on long-term investments such as retirement, and also see that over time how risk decrease, right? So yeah, the TLDR is, or the things to know, is investor must have a long-term investment horizons to allow their investment to grow. And this comes by looking at the 49-year examination of the past contraction and expansion in the stock market from 1973, the beginning of the Yom Kippur War, to 2021, and see how there have been 10 market contractions, and they are defined by when the stock market peak, fall 10 or more percent. And during an economic expansion, the idea is that during the expansion, we measure is the recovery of an index from the very bottom of the contraction to its previous peak and the subsequent performance until the next peak level before another 10% decline. So, sorry. Mm. Uh, and looking at that and understand what is the recovery, what recovery means, which is the boom and price security following a long decline. The term is also used to describe is the boom or the upswing in nation activity economy, and the index is this a statistical reference expresses a percentage of investment in a period of time. So the whole idea of index is to measure progress. Its measure is the investment performance, the progress. So once I look at the market contraction and expansion, and look at the market on terms and recoveries, and see how from the 2019, 2019 from 1929 to 2001, the most severe U.S. equity downturn it was in 1929. It started with the Great Depression. That the recovery period took over 12 years. And this is something that struck me the most because that means like back then 1 or 2 generations, basically, right? Depending on your conditions. So we're talking about 12 years, and the stock lost over 80% of their value, specifically 83.4% of their value, which is something they do here. I don't know, for some reason this popover doesn't work anymore. For some reason this popover. Yeah, for some reason now that popover doesn't work. Okay, so when I examine this, right? Uh, exactly. So when I examine this, that the most severe downturn in the U.S. equity market, and equity, the term means, according to Investopedia, unfortunately they don't show that because they have some issue on the front end. They no longer show is the the concept or definition of that. In any case, I know that they have some previously something called equity, which is the total assets minus its liability. That's one definition. That's one context. The total asset minus its liability. The the net worth of a company, or the total amount of shares you own from a company, but in the context of property, is the total value of a property minus its liens. And liens is something that is, come on, liens here, okay? And liens is the right of someone else to possess a property, usually your property, until a debt is repaid or an obligation is met. And there are several types of liens. So it can be from banks, all right? So a lien is often granted when an individual takes out a loan from a bank to purchase an asset. So when I ask a loan to a bank to purchase an asset, that's one way to get a bank lien. All right. So, for example, if an individual purchases a vehicle, the seller will be paid using the borrower funds from the bank. That exactly. So, in turn, the bank will be granted on a lien on the vehicle. You know. So the bank will be granted on a lien on the vehicle. Exactly. So you have now this lien. All right. The bank is put a is this legal right to possess some of your property if you're not paid them for the loan. So if a borrower does not repay the loan, the bank may execute the lien, seize the vehicle, and sell it to repay the loan. If you buy a more recent vehicle, it might be. If you buy a more recent vehicle, it might be. Uh, the others are judgment liens. A judgment lien is a lien placed on assets by court. So banks can issue liens, especially for borrowers, or for an individual that takes a loan from them to purchase some asset, let's say uh, a vehicle, and a vehicle is not an asset because it depreciates. So it suffers from annual depreciation, depre, depreciation, exactly, depreciation. It suffers from annual depreciation. Exactly. Uh, Judgment can also issue a lien on an asset by the court, which is usually a result of a lawsuit. A judgment lien could help a defendant get paid back in a non-payment case by liquidating the accused assets. So, for example, if you're a defendant, so if you lose that lawsuit and your lawyer wants something from you, so they will liquidate your assets. All right. Mechanics lien. The mechanics lien can be attached to real property if the owner fails to pay a contractor for service rendered. You know what is funny? Here in this digital era, here in this digital era, there is nothing that makes sure that they're going to pay for that. You know what I mean? There is nothing that makes sure that if you're providing your service to someone else, there is no liens on that. You know, they just stop paying you money and period. You know, and period. So there must be another way to persuade them. Yeah, I don't want to reach to that point, but yeah, let's face it. Some people are going to do that whatever they want or whatever it needs to preserve themselves in the market. You know, they don't want to get ripped off by it. And yeah, that's what happened. So mechanical liens can be attached to a real property if the owner fails to pay a contractor for service rendered. Okay, if the debtor never pays, the contractor could go on court and get a judgment against the non-party whereby property or asset can be auctioned off to pay the lien holder. Many service providers can have the options to place a lien to secure payment. Many service providers have the option to place a lien to secure payment. And I'm going to combine this with the how to become a business consulting freelancer, especially how to invoice client. Okay, you get the service agreement signed, the first step, and then you secure the payment. And the way to secure the payment, it might be through a lien. Exactly, sorry. It might be through a lien to secure the payment, including construction companies and dry cleaners. You also can have a real estate lien. A real estate is a legal right to seize and sell real estate property if a contractor is not fulfilled. Some real estate liens are automatically put in place, such as in the case of a mortgage lien. When a party borrows money from a bank to purchase their home, the bank places a lien on the house until the mortgage is paid off. However, some real estate liens are due to non-payment to a creditor or financial institution. As a result, are involuntary or non-consensual liens. Again, even though the real estate has a legal right to seize and sell real estate property if a contractor is not fulfilled. Some real estate liens are automatically put in place, such as the case of mortgage lien. When you ask for a mortgage, exactly, someone is going to execute that. And when a party borrows money from a bank to purchase their home, the bank places a lien on the house until the mortgage is paid off. However, Some real estate liens are due to non-payment to a creditor or financial institution as a result, are involuntary and non-consensual liens. And you got tax liens. There are also several statutory liens, meaning liens created by law instead of those created by contract. Okay, so you also have liens created by law. What does a lien mean? A lien is simply the legal right of a lender to sell your property, a house or a car. Example, if you don't make your contract obligation of the loan you took out to purchase it. So anytime the TLDR of bank lien, right, is this. So I know what is a lien, and I know where it comes from, especially when you look at the equity definition, which is in the context of property, is the total value of your property minus its liens, and this is a legal right of someone else to possess your asset or your property until a debt is repaid or an obligation is met. So there are several types of liens, such as bank liens. When you ask for a loan to bank, they put a lien on that loan, and if the borrower doesn't pay that back, well, the bank may execute the lien to seize the vehicle. For example, if the individual purchase a vehicle, to seize the vehicle and sell it to repay the loan, allegedly, right? And there's some subtle here, so the devil is on the detail. But understand that they exist from bank, so bank liens, and you also have judgment liens, especially if your defendant, if you lose against a lawsuit, your defendant, in order to get paid, okay, or a judgment lien could help a defendant, okay, the judgment lien could help a defendant get paid back in a non-payment case by liquidating the accused assets. In the mechanics lien, okay, a mechanics lien can attach to a real property. And this is usually from if an owner fails to pay a contractor for service rendered. The mechanic lien. You also have is if an owner fails to pay a contractor for service rendered. And the real estate liens is the legal right to seize and sell real estate property if a contract is not fulfilled. All of these are based on contract. But also there are several liens that are created by law instead of those created by a contract. Okay? And these liens are very common in the field of taxation, where law often allow tax authority to put liens on the property of delinquent payers. So tax liens is a type of lien that is created by law instead of by a contract, and these liens are very common in field of taxation. So where law often allows tax authority to put liens on the property of delinquent taxpayer. For example, municipalities can use liens to recover unpaid property taxes. Okay. For example, municipality can use liens to recover unpaid property taxes. Unpaid property taxes. Okay. But the TLDR is that you have several liens to banks. So when someone asks for a loan, and to make sure that you're going to pay that, they make this lien if for some reason For example, if the borrower wants to purchase a car and he's not able to pay that, so they execute the lien to uh, take that asset, take that vehicle, sell it, and repay the debt later, right? And they in that middle process, there are several things that they can do behind the scenes. There is another business that can arise. So okay, so you have tax lien, you have his bank liens, the other are judgment liens that a judgment can issue a lien to for the defendant to get paid back here. A judgment lien could help a defendant get paid back in a non-payment case by liquidating the accused asset. So, for example, if you lose, um, if you lose a lawsuit, if you lose a lawsuit, a mhm. if you lose a lawsuit, so the defendant, the judgment can issue a lien that could help the defendant pay back or get paid back by liquidating your assets. Mm. Then also you have mechanic liens. This is if the owner fails to pay contractor for service rendering. The real estate liens is that liens to seize and sell the real estate property if a contract is not fulfilled. And then you also have a tax lien. And this is created by law and is very common in the field of taxation. So where laws often allow tax authority to put liens on the property of delinquent taxpayer. For example, municipality can use liens to recover unpaid property taxes. For example, okay, in the United States, if a taxpayer becomes delinquent and does not demonstrate any indication of paying own taxes, the IRS, the Internal Revenue Service, may place a legal claim against a taxpayer property, including the taxpayer home, vehicle, and bank accounts. A notice of federal tax lien. A notice of federal tax lien notifies creditor of the government claims and can lead to a sheriff's sale. Okay, a notice of federal tax liens notifies creditor of the government claims and can lead to a sheriff's sale. A sheriff's sale is a public auction whereby assets are repossessed, sold, and the generated funds are used to repay a debt to a creditor, bank, or the IRS. A tax lien also affects the taxpayer's ability to sell existing assets and obtain credit. The only way to release a federal tax lien is to fully pay the tax owed or reach a settlement with the IRS. The IRS has the authority to seize a taxpayer asset who ignore a tax lien. Typically, the IRS uses liens for delinquent taxes as a last resort, following all other options being exhausted, such as collection, installment, repayment, plans, and settlement. Okay, what is a lien on my house? So, so far I have read about all of these liens, right? And because the the U.S. equity market in describing is what is equity, okay, especially in the context of property, which is the total amount of which is the total value of a property minus its liens, this legal right of someone else to possess your property until a debt is repaid or an obligation is made. For example, you have bank liens. The banks are they issue liens on loans. For example, if an individual wants to purchase a car and can no longer pay the loan, well, they may execute the. Of course, there is a process before executing that lien uh, to seize the car and sell it to repay the debt. That process of seize a car is okay. Sell it to who? That's the question. And repay the debt. That's something that is um, very obscure to me. And if something is like that, is well, it's prone to create a whole new market. There must be a new market or a market in there. Also, you have this judgment liens, especially when you on lawsuits, uh, a judgment may issue a lien to help the defendant get paid back. Yeah, to help the defendant get paid back. To help the defendant get paid back, to seize and liquidate the accused assets. Mhm. Get paid back in a non-payment case by liquidating the accused assets. But it's important. A judgment lien could help a defendant get paid back in a non-payment case by liquidating the accused assets. In the mechanics lien can be attached to a real property, and if an owner fails to pay a contractor for service rendered, you execute a lien. The other is for real estate. Exactly. The other is on real estate. A lien is a legal right to seize and sell the real estate property if a contractor is not fulfilled. Some real estate liens are automatically put in place, such as in the case of mortgage lien, when a party borrows money from the banks to purchase their home, the bank places a lien on the home until the mortgage is paid off. However, some real estate liens are due to non-payments to a creditor or financial institution as a result, are involuntary and non-consensual liens. But in any case, some real estate liens are automatically put in place, such as in the case of mortgage lien. When a party borrows money from a bank, when a party borrows money from a bank to purchase their home, the bank places a lien on the house until the mortgage is paid off. So a lien in Spanish es un gravamen. Mm. According to that, right? O derecho de retención. Okay, a lien. All right, all right. Mhm. Right. Derecho de retención. A lien. Interesting. Prenda. Mm, interesting. Civil code. Incluyendo la facultad de tener la razón. Contrato de tren. Pignos en Roma. Mm, de prenda. Okay, but a lien in Spanish is a derecho de retención. That's right. That's right. Okay, that works for me. That works for me. Yeah, completely. Okay, derecho de retención. Okay, that's a lien in Spanish. Okay, okay. A legal right, a retention legal right to possess someone else's property until a debt is paid or an obligation is paid. Okay, you have liens as well. Okay, on end, okay. So I stop here a little bit because yes, by looking at the market and terms and recovery over the past 94 years examination of capital market, uh, the most severe downturn or the most U.S. equity market downturn was in 1929 when the stock lost over 80% of the value, specifically 83.4%. So it's like you have an arepa and then suddenly you only have this one finger of it. It's like where my arepa go? Or you have a Starbucks coffee, okay, and then you suddenly only have a finger of that delicious liquid. So what the fuck is going on? Something like that. And the recovery period took 12 years. More recently, in the early 2000s, uh, at the beginning of the dot-com bubble, the stock lost 44.7% of their value, and the recovery period took 4 years, making it the second longest in history. And then the stock lost 50.9% during the 2007-2008 bear market, the banking and debt crisis, and this downturn lasts for 16 months. The downturn lasts for 16 months, and the stock market recovered after 37 months. That's 3 years. That's over 3 years. It's like holy. He, that's another reason why I'm dedicating time to this. Why over the last 3 years? Yeah, completely. Over the last 3 years, well, it all began, or it all started with. It all began with on mm, April 2020. That is the huge entry point for this. It's like, oh, okay, and from that moment and on, that's one of the reasons why when I hearing different podcasts from Joe Rogan, and I love his unapologetically way of conducting interview, and also listen to all of these different sources to kind of form my own perspective in the decision that I need to take for that moment or not. Because uh, Christaki, Nicholas Christaki, Nicholas Christakis, okay? Because Nicholas Christaki, okay, a Greek American sociologist and physician known for his research on social network and on the socioeconomic, biosocial, and evolutionary determinants of human welfare. Okay, so on that particular, sorry, so on that particular podcast from Joe Rogan, he explained what will be according to them because they were hired by the ONU, what is the other National United, National United, uh, ONU in English, uh, UN. Ah, really? United Nations. Okay. So yeah, they provide their service to the UN, so the UN hire them as a consultants to understand what will be the most likely possible scenario at the beginning of the pandemic, and after that, okay, he described that the pandemic when it start, it will be 1 year from 2021 on research and development, in 22 and 21 and 22 it will be a year for distribution to the supply chain, and from 20 to 23 to 24 it'll be the impact on the psychological aspect that can last for decades to come, right? And to me, it's like, are you talking to me? Is that it will take me 2 years and hopefully see that this actually, uh, and with the hope that someone else that I render my service as a software developer, hopefully they give me the opportunity and then I increase my wealth and I improve my material conditions. Are you telling me that it took me, or that's gonna take me 2 to 3 years? Back then, in August 2020, when I hear that, it's like, no, man, I cannot wait for that. I don't have any time. I'm gonna fucking die anytime soon. I don't know when, but I know that for sure that it will happen. So I better have to do things that I know that I must do. Okay? For example, well, this. It's like, oh, for example, learning about not only on the software aspect to get hired by some company, startups, whatever. But also, once I have enough capital, I learn more about the things that really matters to me. In this case, it's like finance. Sorry, about finance, business, and technology, sales as well. Okay, that was a huge tangent back here. Okay, and again, looking at this several market downturn and recovery, so it gives me more perspective and also understand the reason why I'm doing all of this. All right, so giving me a why. Why am I doing this? You know, and well, the TLDR to understand this, it was like uh, stocks are prone to sudden loss value for different reasons. Pandemic, the Ukraine war right now, and who knows in the future. So after that, okay, so look at uh, that section, right? Mm, Then I begin to look at the asset classes and downturns. So the downturns and recovery from these different asset classes, from the perspective of different asset classes, such as stocks, bonds, treasury bills, well, some other class assets, and with some sample portfolio structures. Okay, is with some other sample portfolio structures. We'll also look at the correlation of different assets with the broader market. And that's right. That's where I begin. So look at the market in terms uh, or the bond yields during recessions, and the main driven factors are the demand supply for loans, the monetary policy, and inflation expectations. Because the Fed has two primary tools to set monetary policy, like the discount rates and the federal fund rates. It had these two primarily tools to set monetary policy. So the discount rates either is the interest rate that the Federal Reserve set to banks for short-term loans, okay, or is the interest rate used on discount future cash flow from the discount future cash flow analysis. This discount future cash flow is an evaluation methods of investment based on its future expected based on its expected future cash flow. Okay, how much cash flow that investment will generate in the future. Okay, and with cash flow means that, well, the movement of money in and out of the company. And cash flow has different categories, so you can identify different places where the movement in and out of the company, the movement of money in and out of the company, it can be from, where you look at this, especially on the cash flow, it can be from investment, okay? It can be from operation, investing, and financing. So understanding this, I give you a perspective of how you can conduct yourself as a business, as one, and how you can provide value to others and help you organize in a way that can make you anti-fragile. A concept from Nassim Taleb, anti-fragile. Okay. A concept from anti-fragile is Nassim Taleb. A Nassim Taleb. Ooh, exactly. Nassim Taleb. A an American essayist, an American essayist, mathematical statistician, statistician, mathematical statistician, and former option trader, risk analyst, and aphorist whose work concerns problems of randomness, probability, and uncertainty. According to this, the Sunday Times called his 2007 book, The Black Swan, one of the most one of the 12 most influential books since World War II. What the? For real? Appleyard Bryan. Books that helped to change the world. Taleb is an author of the Incerto, a five-volume philosophical essay on uncertainty published between 2001 and 2008, of which the best-known books are The Black Swan and Antifragile, and a five-volume philosophical essay. He has been a professor of several universities, serving as a distinguished professor of risk engineering. What? At the New York University Tandem School of Engineering since September 2008. He has been co-editor in chief of the academic journal Risk and Decision Analysis since September 2014. He has also been a practitioner of mathematical finance, a hedge fund manager, and derivative traders, and is currently listed as a scientist advisor at Universal Investment. Jesus fucking Christ. Okay. Decision theory, risk and probability. Mm, Influences. Sextus Empiricus. Popper. Karl Popper. Oh my god. Mandelbrot. Cunningham. Hayek. Seneca. Montaigne. Hmm. Michel Montaigne. Sir Montaigne. Is that Encephus? Nietzsche and Simon. Herbert Alexander Simon. Taleb as a student. What the heck? Anyways, uh, uh, the most influential manager of Europe. Mhm. Mm. Fooled by randomness, the hidden role of chance in life and in market. Black Swan, the impact of highly improbable. The bet of Procrustes, aphorism. Anti-Fryo, people gain from disorder, skiing the game. Hitting asymmetries in daily life. Um, Black Swan, Anti-Fragile, and skiing the game. The Black Swan. So why am I quoting him, right? Of anti-fragile concepts, especially like that, uh, because when I look at the cash flow that it can come from operations, investing, and financing, and especially if you see yourself as a business or someone that at the beginning can provide service such as software engineer and uh, to conciliate yourself with the nature of things that we perceive in this reality. Okay, uh, those kind of books help me to know where I should go. You know, especially on period of time of huge chaos, highly uncertainty. The pandemic, okay, when everybody goes in a paranoid and anxiety mode, okay, vastly for all of that. And I need as well to understand where I am right now. What is my historical moment that I'm living, and what should I do to live a life that is up to you? You know. Yeah, so I combine here the finance, the crisis with philosophy, to create this Frankenstein, this ideological Frankenstein. Interesting that he created that Skin the Game was published in February 2018. The fifth book is bundled with the other four works in July 2019 as Inserto, the Lux edition. The Black Swan, The Best Progress, Anti-Fragile, and Skin the Game. Well, in any case, uh, yeah, that actually influenced vastly my decision to learn more about this. Okay, so Nassim Taleb, this mathematical statistician, statistic. How the fuck do you say that? Statistician, statistician. Okay, he's a mathematical statistician. Okay, a mathematical statistician, essayist, uh, a mathematical statistician, essayist, former trader of options, and a professor focused on randomness, risk, and decision making. Okay. Uh, so yeah. So again, because I'm looking here at the two main factors that yeah, because here I'm looking at the two main factors that this Fed has to implement in its monetary policy: the discount rate, the the rate that the Federal Reserve set to banks for short-term loans, or is used to the rate is used to or the rate is for the discount future cash flow, and this discount future cash flow is an evaluation method to look. It's an evaluation measure. It's an evaluation method for an investment based on its expected future cash flow. How much cash flow this investment will generate in the future. How much money cash flow, we talk about that. How much money this investment will generate in the future. The moving in and out of the company. And there are several type of cash flow according to the SEC, all right? That is uh, from the operations, investment, and research and financing. So when I look here at the cash flow here, cash flow. Okay, and exactly. Is here. So a company cash flow is typically categorized as cash flow from operations, investing, and financing. This is the most typically labels of movement of money in and out of a company, from operations, investing, and financing. Okay. And when I look here, the beginner guide to financial statements, so if you can read a nutrition label or a baseball or soccer box scores, you can understand the basics of, or you can read basics financial statements. If you know how to follow a recipe or ask for a loan or apply for a loan, you know the basics, or you can learn basics accounting. So the basics aren't difficult and there are rocket science. And again, all of this, what I'm doing, what I mentioned here, it comes from the SEC, right? SEC.gov. This brochure is designed to help you gain a basic understanding of how to read financial statement. Okay, so these sections will give me is the basic of how to read financial statement. Just like a CPR, teach you how to perform the basic of cardiopulmonary resurrection. These sections will explain you how to read how to read the basic part of a financial statement. It will not train you to get an accountant, just like a CPR course will not make you a cardiac doctor. But it should give you a confidence, okay? But it should give you the confidence to be able to look at a set of financial statements It makes sense of that. So let's begin with this financial statement, which is they show you the money, where a company money came from, where it went, and what is it now. This is the three aspect that describe this financial statement. They show you the money, where a company's money came from, where it went, and what is now. Okay. And there are four main financial statements. You have balance sheets, income statement, cash flow statement. Okay, and it all here is we are all here because the cash flow statement and the statement of shareholder equity. So in Spanish, this is the hoja de balance, declaración de ingresos, declaración de flujo de caja y patrimonio de los accionistas, ¿no? So balance sheets show what a company owns and what it owns at a fixed point in time. Okay. So a balance sheet show you what a company owns and what it owns at a fixed point in time. Income statement show how much money a company made and spent over a period of time. How much money made and spent over a period of time. Cash flow statements show the exchange of money between, okay, cash flow statements show the exchange of money between a company and the outside world, also over a period of time. The fourth financial statement, called the statement of shareholders' equity, show change in the interest of the company shareholder over time. Let's look at each of the first three financial statements in more detail. Income statement and cash flow statement. Again, financial statement ratio and calculation. Bringing it together. The Office of Investors Education and Advocacy has provided this information as a service to investors. It is neither a legal representation nor a statement of said policy. If you have questions concern the Office of Investor Education, if you have questions concerning the meaning of or applying to a particular law or rule, please consult with your attorney who is specialized in security. Bring it all together. Okay, but let me just. Okay. So to recap, okay, about these financial statements, what it is. They show you the money, where the company money came from, where it went, and what is it now. There are four main financial statements: balance sheets, income statements, a cash flow statement, and the statement of shareholders' equity. So the balance sheet shows what a company owns and what it owns at a fixed point in time. Interest. Okay. So a balance sheet show you what you own and what it owns. Show what a company owns and what is it owns at a fixed point in time. Okay. And what is it owed at a fixed point in time? Income statements show you how much money a company made and spent over a period of time. Cash flow statements show you the exchange between the exchange of money between a company and the outside world, also over a period of time. And the fourth financial statement, called the statement of shareholders' equity, show changes in the interest of the company shareholder over time. A balance sheet shows what a company owns and what is owed at a fixed point in time. Okay, so what it owns right now and what it owes at a fixed point in time. Income statements show how much money a company made and spent over a period of time. Okay, how much money you made and spent over a period of time. In the cash flow statements show the exchange of show you the exchange money between a company and the outside world over a period of time. And the fourth statement of shareholder equity show exchange in interest in the company shareholder over time. Okay, so balance sheet show you is what a company owns and what it owes at a fixed point in time. The income statement show you how much the income statement show you how much money a company made and spent. Okay, so how much money a company made and spent in a period of time. And cash flow statements show you is the exchange of money between the company and the outside world. Okay, so that's a cash flow statement. Show you is the money. Show you the exchange of money between a company and the outside world. The income statement show you is how much money a company made and spent over a period of time. And balance sheets tells you what you own and what is owned at a fixed point in time. So properties, your income and spend, and the exchange of money to the outside world. Okay. So with that, I'll see you in the next video. Take care.